YouTube has removed a video clip that the January 6th House Select Committee posted on its channel that included then-President Donald Trump making election fraud claims, false election fraud claims. The video was uploaded on June 14th and also included recorded testimony of former Attorney General Bill Barr, but did not include the part where Barr responded to Trump's assertion, which had been stated numerous times throughout the hearing elsewhere, that the election was not stolen, contrary to what Trump said.
The video platform deemed the committee violated YouTube's election integrity policies, offering this explanation to the New York Times. Quote, "Our election integrity policy prohibits content advancing false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches change the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. If it does not provide sufficient context, we enforce our policies equally for everyone and have removed the video uploaded by the January 6th committee channel." Wow.
So I was actually on CNN this week to discuss YouTube's policy with Brian Stelter. Here's some of that.
I really think this has been eye-opening, though. It was eye-opening when it happened to you at the Hill. It's eye-opening for the committee. I think this makes people think twice about their relationship to these big tech platforms.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of misinformation out there, but I think the efforts to absolutely moderate it in all cases can go overboard, and this is a good case of that. What if Trump was speaking and it was just being covered live by some outlet on YouTube? What about C-SPAN? Is YouTube going to take the position that every claim has to be vetted in real time? Right now, they're only saying it's election misinformation and then some specific COVID claims. But as we know, Brian, some claims about efficacies of certain, what the vaccines do, what masks work, like that, the knowledge of that changes over time. Different recommendations come out. So the idea that they would have some blatant ban in any one circumstance on just those subjects, it seems very weird to me. I think it might give people the idea that everything on YouTube is being vetted, because if that wasn't true, they would take it down. And that would be even more confusing to people. We should also note that YouTube changed the video page to private. So there's some backstory to this, Olayemi, because we went through something similar to this on the Hill.
Right.
Rising was off for a week, off YouTube for a week, because we had played a clip of Trump. I believe it was me and Ryan and Emily Jashinsky, and we played a clip where Trump makes the contested election claim, and the segment was actually about something else.
Yeah.
So it was about Ukraine, so we were actually wanting Trump's thoughts on Ukraine.
Right.
So we didn't jump in and say, by the way, that claim about the election was false, even though, we've covered numerous times on this show that those claims are false. Nobody thinks that either me or Ryan think that. But YouTube said that because that claim was not corrected, or there was no disclaimer on the video, there was no surrounding context, we had violated the policy. It was as if we were spreading this view ourselves, right. And they took us down for a week. And Ryan and I and Kim and Emily have all been very critical of this policy, because look, there is a massive difference between Trump saying saying the claim, and us as opinion journalists, as commentators, as deliverers of breaking news. We're telling you that Trump said that. We're not telling you it was right.
So, I wanted to give YouTube the benefit of the doubt and believe that it was some kind of automatic algorithm, and the minute it picked it up, it just automatically did that. But once brought to their attention, they would correct
fix it.
Yes, that's what I thought. But they're actually doubling down on it, and that seems absurd, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea that it's still news, right? You still need to be able to cover it. You need to be able to comment on it. And obviously, for the purposes of the January 6th committee hearings, they're not in any way advocating it or suggesting that it's true. That's literally, that's just a possibility.
The committee is trying to call attention to their belief, the fact that the things Trump said about the election was not true, and you're actually thwarting their efforts because you're objecting to how they're doing. And look, it's their platform. YouTube can have whatever policies it wants. So I'm just criticizing those policies because I think in some cases they don't make sense, and this is a really good example of it.
But I think, so listen, I'm someone who fully believes in the danger of Donald Trump. I do believe, I was all for them taking him off Twitter. I'm all for them, having these disclaimers on videos or things talking about him. I'm okay with that. But the idea that there are going to be things that are false, true, in between, things that need to be commented on in the news. If you can't even present what it is you want to talk about, you can't show people a clip of what it is you're criticizing or what an entire committee has convened to address, that's absurd. I can't really defend that.
It doesn't make any sense. And it's not, again, the things Trump said that contributed to what happened on January 6th, primarily things he was saying in person, not on social media. Like he addressed the actual crowd of people who then went and stormed the Capitol. It wasn't, Twitter took him down, obviously, and then we have these policies for YouTube. And I'm just like, his actual physical presence and words are what directly caused the thing.
I think that might speak to the overall chaos that is Donald Trump, because I personally, I remember his Twitter and I remember his tweets and feeling very much so like they do contribute to invoking all kind of insanity. So again, I'm not against taking him down on Twitter. I'm not against disclaimers for Donald Trump. But in this case, I do think there has to be a limit on how much you're preventing journalists and media people and everybody from being able to comment on it, because regardless of right or wrong, true, false, there needs to be able to have open discourse.
It's a very slippery slope where you end up doing ridiculous things like this. But the new CNN chief, Chris Licht, wants the network actually to say goodbye also to the phrase "the big lie" when referring to Donald Trump's false stolen election claims, saying the phrase is too close to the Democratic Party's branding. And I also addressed this on Reliable Sources. So I said that, so I was asked about this, should we keep calling it the big lie? And I honestly thought, I don't know, I don't really care. But I see why, so this new boss of CNN, his thinking is that it's Democratic Party messaging to call it the big lie. So if CNN is also just calling it the big lie, like you're giving into this, and that's been true on other things. Even that Florida, like the "Don't Say Gay" bill is what I would try to say what critics refer to as the "Don't Say Gay" bill, but proponents of it call it something else. So if you just call it what the Democrats are calling it, then you do make yourself an arm of the Democratic Party.
Right, but at the same time, if you're busy only policing the left or their slogans or the liberals and the Democrats from how they're calling things, what we're naturally going to slide into is just conceding what are the Republican talking points on it. And for me personally, I think it's kind of absurd for us to criticize CNN on Democratic branding or being too closely aligned with the Democratic Party when things like Fox News exist. It just seems absurd to me. That's my personal belief.
Well, is the biggest lie even what Trump said about the?
I think it's a big lie. I don't think it's the biggest lie. I think Trump and his base lie all day.
Mass destruction. That's what I said on Brian Stelter. That's the big political lie of our lives.
I think honestly, hot take, but I think I think the biggest lie of right now is conflating things to a culture war. What I think is a lot of just open and.
If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan. That was a big lie. That was a lot of people perfectly happy with their health plans got kicked off because of Obamacare.
Listen. We're not going to get into universal health care and Obamacare.
Well, I'm saying regardless, I think the policy is good,
yeah.
But it was not true that everyone who wanted to stay on their current plan was
probably
able to
true.
stay
Listen,
on their plan.
Politics, let's be honest, right? Politics, there's going to be a lot of lying and in between a lot of gray area because a lot of what
it's normal. It happens all the time.
Yeah, a lot of it is what people are talking, messaging. You don't really even have the ability when it comes to the news, the amount of time people have to have the in-depth, nuanced conversations they want to have. So of course there's going to be some level of slogan.
Do you think Trump is a uniquely more so than a normal political figure, dishonest? In some ways, his dishonesty is more obvious because he has no subtlety about him.
Yeah.
Look, I think he's a pathological liar, but I
shameless.
think Hillary Clinton's a pathological liar. I think most of our political figures are pathological
I think a lot
liars.
of government officials, a lot of people obviously engage in this work there's going to be a level of dishonesty because there's just a certain level to which they're not going to have open discourse with the people, even when they want it to be, right? I think there are a lot of times when I'm sure there are politicians who would want to say, you know what, I kind of agree with you, I don't this, da, 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 but they have different considerations. So I think dishonesty is unfortunately a part of the game. Do I think Trump is the most dishonest politician of our time? No, I think Trump is shameless in a particular kind of way that led a lot of other people to feel comfortable being shameless. I think before there was a certain level of decorum, a lot of, let's get along, we're not going to say the ultimate thing I really think about this issue, the thing that I know is really going to incite, outrage. And I think Trump came along and said, listen, I don't care nothing about that. This is what I want to say, and the people that support me, they like it too. Wrong, right, true, whatever it is, and they go along with that. And I think that was the dangerous thing about Trump. It's not really about his dishonesty. I think it's more about what he mobilized.
Russia caused Donald Trump to be elected. Maybe that's the big lie.
Oh, child.
Maybe that's the big lie. All right, we'll have more Rising right after this.